I'm used to going live, so it's different. Anyway, okay. Today, welcome. This is my Substack that'll be posted, and I have a guest today. And do you want to introduce yourself? What are you about? Who are you? Why are you here?
Oh God, yeah. I'm a Palestinian writer, and activist, journalist, and I'm here because I met Will through the internet with his guns, and and I was like, oh, he has a lot of really cool things to say. I really like this guy, and I was like, we should chat together because I'm all about Palestinian liberation. I'm all about activism, fighting back the system. So I don't know if that was an apt description. That's just who I
That's
am.
an apt description. He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. How I always like when I'm like, and I'm talking to this guy, I'm always just like, and he did a fundraiser with Cynthia Nixon, and that gets people moving. They're like Miranda, and that sells people in. They're like, okay, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, and
Because I've
Elliot
just gotten
Page
through
and
Sex and the
Rosie
City.
O'Donnell.
Well, that is what a different grouping of people, isn't it? Um,
Right?
Yes, but so the structure for today, I don't know, is I have something written out. So if it's like this white boy is talking a lot, yes, that's the plan. And then we'll get his quips and opinions and takes. And I don't know if you have things you want to talk about as well. If you brought anything, totally fine. If
You
not,
know,
totally
I
fine.
I have not given this as much thought as I probably should have. I just wanted to hop on and chat.
Well, that's ideal actually. That's the best way to do it. That's most of the way I do it, and that's why all of my writing is rife with spelling errors. And that will not be changing, everyone. That will never change. This is what I'm trying to indoctrinate everyone into is let me ignore. But anyway,
Except
yeah.
Will the
So I
way
came
that
over.
he is.
Yeah, accept me for who I am, okay,
Yeah.
and what I do. And people are. I got like a bunch of comments, and then I sent out like a really quippy blog, being like, actually, me misspelling things is revolutionary, and people shut the fuck up real quick. So
That's
really
great.
quick. Anyway, yeah. So you're not from the South. Have you been to the South before?
I have family in the South. I have family in
Okay.
Arkansas. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that's more southern than I am. So yeah,
Yeah.
what we're talking about today is obviously my hometown has been ransacked, has been invaded of Charlotte, North Carolina. And the title today is Ice Melts in the South, Solidarity and Resistance. And devastatingly, I can't take credit for the term solidarity. It's been around there. Yeah, so I don't know how in touch people are, but for y'all who don't know, Charlotte was invaded by ICE this past week. And over 300 people were confirmed to have been kidnapped by ICE, and a lot of other people brutalized and violence committed against them. I don't live there anymore. I am in and out occasionally, but my city showed the fuck up and showed that the South don't fuck around. Um, and it was, and today I just want to talk about that response, what we learned from it, what we shouldn't learn from it, why I think it happened, and some context for it happening.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so I don't want to underplay the violence that happened. I mean, it was serious, it was violent, it was horrible. I'm talking about mostly the focus is on the good things, the people showing up, yelling at ICE, annoying ICE, and ultimately, it's quite optimistic what we saw. So, getting into it, have you ever been to Charlotte?
No, no.
No,
I've
there's
I've,
no
I've
real reason.
actually I've wanted to go. I have a couple friends from Charlotte. Yeah.
It's a cool place. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a boring place very actively. It's a very I'm not a huge fan of actually living in Charlotte. But because mainly I was in the boring white suburbs. Which leads directly into what I'm saying, which is like so I don't know once again, most people don't think of Charlotte as anything other than kind of an international airport, a woman's name. And then when I lived in Europe, everyone was like, "Oh, that's where the Nazis live." Right? That's where the Nazis are. And they were thinking of Charlottesville, Virginia. And I was like, no, 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 no. We have different Nazis. No, we have different Nazis, guys. It's
Different
okay.
kinds. Different kinds.
Yeah, different
Ours
breed
have
of Nazis,
hoods.
same roast. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. And I now live in Virginia, so now I'm less far away from those Nazis that everyone knows, the ones that got really big headlines, or those really big headlines. So yeah, but Charlotte is still, I like. The only thing I don't know, I don't love it about Charlotte, but I find it really interesting, and I always introduce it with people, is it's one of the most racially segregated cities in the South. Because it has a very large white population compared to other cities in the South. And it's also numero uno, for least socially mobile. So if you're born wealthy in Charlotte, you're the most likely of any city in America to stay wealthy, and vice versa. And that is, you can literally see in Charlotte this, because North Charlotte is very, very black, brown, and poor. And South Charlotte, where I grew up, is very, very affluent and white. For example, like me personally, I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. My elementary school was overwhelmingly white. I think we literally had 2 black people, one of which was a child of an NFL player. Like, the distinction here is insane. And then my high school was also one of the most well-funded and top-ranked in Charlotte, even though I went to my local high school. I could go on infinitely about schooling. My mother's a public school teacher in Charlotte, and was around during desegregation and resegregation. Have you ever heard of Swan v. CMS?
No.
I don't know. It is.
I have not.
Do you know Brown v. Board of Education?
Yes.
Yes. So following Brown v. Board of Education, which implemented like a whole wide sweeping set of desegregation policies, one by one they got torn down, right? Because obviously we're not desegregated anymore. You know, we're back into Jim Crow era. We're basically, right now is basically, Reconstruction is over. You know, Civil Rights era is over. We're back into it. And Swan v. CMS, Swan versus Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, was the school busing case. And it got rid of school busing. School busing being the policy of taking rich white kids, putting them in poor black neighborhoods, and poorer black kids going into rich white neighborhoods, like schools, to desegregate. And then a bunch of, horrible white mothers, primarily, the OG Moms for Liberty, if you will, sued because they were like, that is racism, right? It violates the Constitution to go in and pick people on the basis of their race, right? But it's the same way we do affirmative action, right? It is a racial policy, but if there's a sufficiently good state reason to do it, then the court can say this is allowable only in these instances. And that's basically what they did in Brown v. Board. They said affirmative action in a series of ways passed strict scrutiny. And Swan, came up and said, no, it's no longer necessary. We're not racist enough for strict scrutiny to apply anymore. Surprise, surprise, they were. Because, who would have thought? Who would have thought that they were that racist? I wouldn't have, guys. Call them up. So that was my school district. I grew up in Charlotte, Mecklenburg Schools, and they were the ones that got rid of school busing. Isn't that great? Isn't that crazy? And my high school thus was overwhelmingly white, overwhelmingly white. I have the statistics linked. I don't have them up. But it was insane. Yeah, so it got rid of school busing. It resegregated the South. We used to be the jewel of desegregation. Like West Mac used to be a very, very good school, and we were the jewel of desegregation. And then it resegregated and got much, much worse. Also, we used to be the center. We're somewhat the crossroads of the North and the South, being the center of Bank of America, which is now, by the way, closer to you, I think. Do you know it's in San Francisco?
Well, that's where I'm from, so.
Well, crazy. They've run off. I think we got a little too southern for them, and they ran off. And now we have Wells Fargo, a totally not criminal cartel.
Not criminal at all. No.
No. Wells Fargo? I think how many laws have they followed, guys? I think a net total of like 2. Guys, don't give your money to Wells Fargo. Oh God, that could be a whole nother a full podcast of people that used to work at Wells Fargo should do this.
Oh my God,
because you don't even have to libel them; they just are criminal.
Is this the part where I tell you my mom worked for Wells Fargo? Ooh.
My dad worked for Wells Fargo. Everyone's dad worked for Wells Fargo.
Jesus,
I love it. Anyway, so. And also, this is going to annoy North Carolinians, but so be it. Come at me. But Raleigh, have you ever been to Raleigh?
No.
It's Virginia.
My time in the South is strictly to Arkansas. Arkansas is like the only place I've been.
My apologies on that one.
Thank you. El Dorado of all places.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah.
if only because I don't know, my experiences in Arkansas were not great, simply because of the wildlife, simply because of the scale of mosquitoes and other insects that like to go into your skin. That's not fun. Anyway, I'm realizing I'm getting very, but whatever. Raleigh's basically Virginia, okay? And Virginia is basically not the South. For being the heart of the Confederacy, Virginians, especially in Nova, they're around D.C. They're not very Southern. You don't hear the twang, like a lot of cultural indicators there. And Raleigh is very similar to Northern Virginia. If you go around it, it's a little more Southern, but not very. We really do. North Carolina really shows up in being Southern in the rural areas. But Charlotte is kind of this blue bubble, as well as not a lot of Northerners will come down. But what I'm saying here is Charlotte's very much, if you want to go to, if a fragile white person from the North wants to go into the South and feel like they're around the South, but not feel, like they have to be around people they don't like, they go to Charlotte. And that's why we have so many, Northern refugees. And so it's very much the crossroads. And I think this is important. Oh, and finally, just trivia. Do you know the first state to secede from the Union?
I'm not gonna guess. I'm not gonna guess. Actually, I was gonna guess.
Why? It's a fair thing to guess. Throw one out. They're all bad. It's not like you can slander any of the Confederacy.
I'd say I don't know, North Carolina.
South Carolina.
South Carolina
was Fort Sumter, and North Carolina was the last state to secede. And the way I was taught that, unironically, in multiple cases, is that we didn't want to secede. Our neighbors did. That's not true, by the way. Totally untrue. We loved slavery. Like, we were super racist. Just not true that we didn't want to secede. But just for perspective, South Carolina, very core South. I mean, if you go into South Carolina, it is as oppressed in the South as you get, right? North Carolina very much kind of is clinging on to being Northern and somewhat wealthy and somewhat white. So it's kind of this mix. So it's a very complicated place. I have a mix of feelings about North Carolina. I think it's a very interesting place. But because of that, I get to this later, I think. And it also voted red for Trump for the past 3 times. And so I think when Trump was putting ICE into Charlotte, he thought it would either be easy pickings, right? Because it's Trump territory, right? Either that. Or he thought it would be like Chicago or like a lot of other northern states, which show up. I don't want to slander their showing up. But, they're not. The whole town ain't out against ICE, right? Like, it's not everything. It's not riots. But it wasn't that. And what we saw this week, I think, proved 2 important things, right? Which is the fascists were surprised, and the Southerners were not, at all. I was not surprised that we showed up this way. And the main thing here is there were responses from, libbed up and useless responses, like marching alongside the pigs, and to effective and beautiful responses like organizing ICE Watch, community defense, spreading information about people's rights, etc. And even my white as fuck high school, Providence Senior High School, let's go, walked out alongside 30,000 students. Fuck yeah, baby. We saw white-ass frat bros in the making go up to a camera and yell, fuck ICE. And I was like, yes, that's fucking it.
The videos you shared of that were great.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Like, these people know how to show the fuck up. Did that surprise you? I don't know. Did you have a preconceived notion of how the response would be?
I didn't expect, like, that many students to show up. I think that's what was really surprising. It's like this sheer amount of people that participated in those protests and like the walkouts. Like, it's just magnificent. Yeah.
And I was sitting and I was like, look, I know the principal. Look, I know the school board members. If they like suspend people, they're getting angry calls from alum. Like, I would be like, yeah, anyway. It's there. I have time, guys. I'm not employed. They will be hearing from me. Anyway, but so I think this the biggest thing that popped out to me that I stood by whenever I was talking about this with people that weren't from the South is like, of course they responded like this. The South has a very, very long and proud history of resistance, right? Like, and just there's no way I can summarize it, and I don't intend to. There are literally thousands of books written about this, but from like old times, like slave revolts, to a long history of labor unionism in Appalachia, to civil rights movements, to the Birmingham bus boycotts being in Birmingham, Alabama. People know how to show the fuck up. And in recent years, right, in even the South, we've seen the center of militant organizing, in my mind at least, also just because it's mainly where I'm around, which is like Atlanta. Had you heard of the Stop Cop City movement and whatnot?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yes. So the Stop Cop City movement, lots happened. A few people, to my knowledge, are still under RICO charges, which is insane. After I think some construction vehicles, I don't know, spontaneously set ablaze. That sounds like a construction error to me. That's what I see when I see. That tends to happen, guys. These snowflakes, they see construction errors and then they throw RICO charges at people. How silly. But also, yeah, I don't mean to just make light of things. They did kill someone. They are severe state repression. But what do we have if not jokes, guys? They can't take away joy. So yeah, they've been under like lethal and horrible repression. But in response to that, we've seen extraordinary resistance, especially Black and brown Southerners have shown up to resist. And I also think the other important thing I want to set up here is that it's primarily not electoral, right? The state that has the least turnout for elections is Louisiana, which is one of the most oppressed states in the area. It's also where they send a lot of ICE detainees, right? They're sending them off to Louisiana because Louisiana is completely captured by the by the right-wing white supremacists, despite being an incredibly Black and brown state. And so a lot of the points of struggle are not electoral because they have been so successfully captured electorally and extraordinary voter repression, right? Like this is where we see voter ID laws. This is the KKK is still active, right? Like the KKK famously had campaigns to stop Black and brown people from voting.
Hold on. The KKK is still this might be really stupid on my end. They're active? Like they're active? Like
so state chapters of the KKK are still active in different areas. They aren't oh yeah. Yeah. So I think
and they still haven't been called a terrorist organization by the United States government. I
think it would smite me if I'm wrong, everyone. But so there is still a 501c3. Last time I checked, of the KKK. I don't think it's the same exact one, but I know the KKK has marched in robes in Virginia within the past 10 years.
This country's so unserious when it comes to fighting racism.
You know what's literally. And by the way, you know what also is unserious when it comes to racism? Once again, I don't mean to downplay the terrorists that are the KKK, but once again, we need to laugh at how silly they are. They're both silly and dangerous. You know what their leader is called? Do you know what the leader of a KKK organization is? A grand wizard. They a grand wizard? Really? No, it's silly. They used to, and then they have little underlings. Like one level of a KKK level is a cyclops. What are you talking about? You're weirdos. But they were made to do that. Once again, if y'all want to learn more about that, the Behind the Bastards, which is a podcast I watch a lot, has a really good set on the KKK. Behind the Cops, which is the same people talking about the cops. They talk about the KKK. It was actually up around your way that the KKK was deputized in the early 1900s. Literally, they would give people in KKK robes the ability to arrest people. It was in Seattle and Portland.
Oh, God.
Good work, everyone. We're doing great work. So, yes. It was just a little different because, most of the KKK activity up in the North Pacific was actually white-on-white violence. They were still super racist, but they really hated Jews and Catholics a lot more. And it was okay, at least you're getting creative with your bigotry. Not that we have to give the flowers to the racists, but at least they're creative. Anyway, So, and this goes back a long time, right? Like, the civil rights movement was not primarily electoral. You know, like when we think of the civil rights movement, we think a lot of like public speeches, etc. But also, it was driven. The engine of the civil rights movement and why it ended up happening was the direct action and effective community resistance of organizations like the Black Panthers, right? Like, there's a lot of whitewashing that goes down this. Also deserves its whole episode, but what it fundamentally was is a decentralized effective resistance and public effort campaign that capitulated to liberal reforms, right? Like the Civil Rights Act was a liberal reform that was an exchange of all of the energy and actual direct action that the civil rights movement had. It wasn't a liberal movement that changed within the liberal framework. So this history of non-electoral, effective direct action and resistance is long in the South. And it is in part because they've been, I mean, the core part of the Southern resistance is Black and brown people that have been systemically and actively and consistently excluded from the electoral framework. And now they don't trust it, rightfully so. And they are still being, right? There was a voter suppression law passed in North Carolina, I think 2 weeks ago. So this relationship between consistent electoral losses and radical action also has another thing, which is the libs, the libbed up America, who sees politics only through the electoral eye, see the South as you know, backwards, as Republican, as distinctively racist, even though I won't deny the South is racist, but we should also not deny that the North is really fucking racist, and the West is really fucking racist. I trust you can attest to that.
You see, that's really interesting because my in-law, one of my in-laws, says that the South isn't racist anymore. So it's wild.
Well,
what?
That's a weird. It's a funny horseshoe theory thing there, because leftists come around to the conclusion not that the South isn't racist, but that like it's not as distinctively racist as a lot of people think it is. It's like they'll be open about it. The North is just like quietly and kind of like side by side racist. But different people have different experiences of racism in the South. So there's this like appearance that it's just like a lost cause, right? Like there's nothing going on there. It's so red. Why should we even? And that's why we get these frankly asshole liberals that are like, they voted for this. I'll show you what I voted for, guys.
Anyone that says that just doesn't fucking understand the way that politics works or the way that gerrymandering works. Like,
I would agree. These people are assholes. It's like insane that people are still saying that in the great 2025. So
what's ironic is that people use the same excuse to talk about Hamas. Like it's always the uneducated, uninformed people that go, well, they voted for this. Like, well, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the big thing that I have to do when like doing this type of work. And forgive me, I'm plugging something in. I'm just gonna cut this out. Or maybe I won't. We run an honest podcast here, guys, and we're real people. Speaking of, did you see the Target shirt that had the salute? Yes.
Yeah.
Yo.
That's absurd.
Did you see, someone was joking that this implies that scissoring beats fascism, which was great. If I'm going to trust anyone to beat fascism, it is lesbians. So, shout out.
It's true. Accurate.
It's true. They're powerful. I love lesbians. They're great. I actually have a pin that says I love lesbians. Anyway, before we get sapphically distracted.
I feel like my presence here is just making you go on extreme amounts of tangents.
Yes, good. Most... All of my content production is I go on a random tangent when talking to myself, and then I write it down. And then I'm like, this would make a good video. And I just kind of have to like capture the tangent in like a 2-minute clip that's clickable. And that's a lot of work. So going on natural tangents, that's the ideal.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I was saying, so there's this perception, and then there's this reality that actually a lot of the really good organizing is happening in the South. Oh, by the way, it's also not why I'm not good at writing. Is because writing I have to have like a clear structure, right? But like a lot of the information or ideas I have doesn't go in a clear structure easily, so it's like a lot of work. And I trust once again you experience this. You're writing your book. Well, you're done with your first draft. Kudos, shout out.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
It's cunty. Anyway, So yeah, many people outside of the South underestimate the South or write it off. I'm a silly guy.
I love it.
Anyway,
I love it.
I'm a silly guy. Okay, do you know what party the governor of North Carolina is? You
I
can
was
guess.
I actually read this in your piece. He's a Democrat.
So he's a cheater. He's cheating. Yes, but
Yeah.
North
Yeah,
Carolina,
yeah,
for the past 20 years, has wildly, a majority of time, if not 100% of the time, I didn't check because I'm lazy, has had a Democratic governor. Because North Carolina, overwhelmingly, by its populace, is one of the most gerrymandered states in the country. We actually were the state that in the Supreme Court, they said, okay, no, okay, you can gerrymander politically. That's fine. But North Carolina, your gerrymandering is too racist. So we had to go back through and gerrymander so it was less racist, but just as politically unfair. Which I always thought was a very strange Supreme Court case. They were like, this is fine. You just can't do it super racistly. So yeah, we've had a Democratic mayor. We're to the left all the time. But Trump and his people thought, he had the South. He thought it was racist whites, mostly. And lots of support this. So if you talk to like Southern white people, right, you'll hear that a lot of them are fervent Trump supporters in a way that like Northern white people aren't as much. And it's very natural to conclude that if they entered, ICE would be welcomed with open arms. And in some places they would. If you go to some places, that's true. They'll feed them free. But it just so happens most of the places that this happens are Facebook comment sections. Because the people that are actually the Trump supporters, by and large, are the old people that just now learned how to use Facebook and are slowly, God forbid, learning how to use YouTube. And I hate to see it. Because I hate seeing their YouTube comment section. I don't like the YouTube comment section. They're mean to me. It's okay. Anyway,
My YouTube comment section.
They're rude. YouTube comment section, say something nice to me, please. So yeah, we're fervent. There's fervent voter suppression, education. For example, it was illegal in my school to refer to a gay relationship as a healthy relationship. Our education is compromised. All the state apparatus exists to shut down leftist thought, and that's what produces this view of it being Trump territory, right? And North Carolinians voted for the governor, not because necessarily they trusted Democrats, who also contribute to this voter suppression, right? They win just as much off voter suppression as Republicans do. They also fucked us over with education. And even me, in my like leftist jaded heart, have a little soft spot for Roy Cooper. Even though he did backstab us on like gay and trans rights, he failed us on abortion. But because he was a really effective governor, he protected teacher pay, he affected a bunch of stuff. So we didn't vote for him because he's a Democrat. We don't like Democrats generally. But it's because we trusted the guy and because he aligned with the Southern values. So it's true. This is not a Trump territory, but it's also not Democrat territory. And this is what we saw last week. Northerners coming down from wherever the fuck they are, thinking they could take it easily, and then coming down to the South, where you very quickly realize that a gun does not care who you voted for. And what matters is that you're a masked federal agent kidnapping your fucking neighbors. And this groundwell of community support was a beautiful meshing of a long history of Southern resistance, the strong armed communities of care that exist among especially minorities in the South, and a smaller but significant degree, the extent that even Trump supporters, people that literally would vote for Trump, don't take kindly to people trespassing and kidnapping people. And frankly, the fascists weren't prepared. I don't know if you saw any of these videos, but they scurried like fucking rats that they are.
I saw bits and pieces of the little old lady in her nightgown, like
coming down and
who was
being like,
pissed
well,
that they were in her yard.
Was it this one? She was like, I came down and I had my safety device, and they were kidnapping them. Oh,
it was just, God. I just like when I started seeing people on like TikTok and Instagram talk about all the people willing to like actually get out their guns and like scare off these ICE agents. It was phenomenal to just like hear about, because again, with the parallels to Palestine, it's often someone made the distinct observation that these ICE agents are oftentimes same people who worked for the IDF. And so when they're confronted with people, and the IDF is famous for like not being able to like handle confrontation because they're so used to dealing with Palestinians where they can like do whatever they want. But anytime they get confrontation from anyone who's not Palestinian, like you had the people of the Global Samud Flotilla, they were talking about the people that were arrested and put into Israeli prison systems, were talking about how like they would be shit talking these guards, and these guards would like look at their like the superiors and be like, "Can you make them stop talking badly about us?" Like they hated it. They didn't like it. And so it's like these same people are recognizing, oh, people actually stand back and fight back when you threaten them and you kidnap their neighbors. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's quite funny. The wimpiness of a lot of these people, or the wimpiness of a lot of these people, is astounding and incredible. And yeah, they aren't prepared for it because by like a lot of IDF soldiers are like 19-year-olds that got like indoctrinated early and then like wanted to serve like their colony. And it's true of ICE as well. I don't know. I also have this fascination with like the alt-right. Like I listen to a lot of Weird Little Guys, which is a podcast about like weird little guys, most Nazis, you know, little weird little guys ruining our lives. It's great. Shout out Molly Conger. Notice me. I have a parasocial relationship with Molly Conger, but I don't actually. That's a joke, everyone. But she is great, and she talks about like how a lot of these people that are doing like this weird violence oftentimes are not doing because of really complicated, well thought out ideologies that we need to undermine and attack, but are doing because they're fundamentally like lonely and scared and like just losers. And so yeah, like if you don't treat them with like the grandiose nature that they want to be treated, like did you see the DHS like enemies are in the forest tweet? Where they showed knights in the mist. That's how they imagine themselves, right? They imagine themselves literally as the Knights Templar, right? Where they're like fighting off the race traders or whatever. But if you're freaks that are cosplaying fun, but like not white supremacist cosplaying. You're freaks that are cosplaying the Knights Templar, and they're like, meh, and they're back to like their old little sad selves. It's good to see. It's good to see. So yeah, it's they scurried, and that's what we saw. And I just wanted to add some context that maybe some people didn't know, which is this really shouldn't be surprising if you're from the South, and it's not really. And so I don't want to Monday quarterback the response, but I will Sunday quarterback it because I was commenting on it the whole time, and I got in contact with some people that I disagreed with as well as to what they were doing. And I don't want to paint a picture of like righteous resistance as well. Like some people really like got hurt and got attacked, and people are being arrested right now or are in jail right now because of their defending of their neighbors. Right? They kidnapped over 300 people. Some of whom are headed for deportation, some of whom are headed for concentration camps, and all of whom are separated from their families and communities. And the resistance as well faced some like repression. But I do want to note, right, at least some things that I think worked really well, and some things that I think didn't work that we should not be doing. And this is once again, a lot of shit becomes repetitive. Because everything repeats itself, guys. So first and foremost, it'll be the next section that I kind of end on that I talk about electoralism. But voting blue, no matter who, isn't going to save y'all. The Dems, where are they? Where are you? Where are you? Hey, Jackson, are you prosecuting these people?
They're in the bleachers. They're in the bleachers watching. They're just.
We hate to see it. Jeff Jackson follows me, by the way. He's left me on red after I called him out for AIPAC funding. So, Jeff, I'm in your district. You used to be my representative. I'm watching you, Jeff. Anyway, I love having time on my hands. But yeah, so we saw organizations like 5051, like the No Kings people, PSL, Party for Socialism and Liberation, organize marches in Central Charlotte, which there's a lot of discourse going on regarding that. They claim they didn't organize with the pigs. 5051 almost certainly organized with the pigs. Whether PSL was there in the room talking with them, I don't know. They directed people to go to these marches. I don't know. But either way, it was permitted and they certainly weren't masking. So it put people in like direct danger, right? Like if you invite pigs into the neighborhoods you claim you're protecting, you're putting people in danger. And you shouldn't do that as organizers generally. And it also is a distraction, right? If you're out yelling into the air and you're not actually at intervention sites or engaging in like actual resistance of some form, high or low, right? Go buy whistles, and like any white woman can do that, right? You are distracting people and pushing them into what is effectively a PR stunt. So stop doing that. But we saw some. So that was kind of an institutional ineffective resistance, and then we had some institutional resistance that I think is good. Like there are large level critiques of the charitable industrial complex, etc. But generally, Carolina Migrant Network did really, really good work working with ACLU NC that on protecting rights and setting out what people's rights were, right? The regime has not yet destroyed the whole entire legal system, so it won't save you, right? Rights are not the last stop, but they are your first one, and you need to know them. And they were providing pro bono counsel, etc., and some litigation against ICE, who engaged in obviously illegal activity, and also telling people how to film for those. Those are all really, really good things. Further, there were campaigns for Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, that dirty, nasty little fucking shithole. I don't like Charmac. Charmac, don't like you. To offer a remote option to students when they were. And I don't know, has this been an issue elsewhere? If you're tapped into any of these, like, did LA, to your knowledge, offer a remote option for students when ICE was invading, or is?
I have no clue.
Crazy.
Not a clue.
Crazy time.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it be an issue anywhere, but there as well, or like it's obviously an issue, but
where like they wouldn't offer it. You mean?
Yeah, they didn't offer it any. So I haven't seen any other campaigns for it, and so I'm surprised by that, because that's a really obvious thing in my mind, right? If they're kidnapping you off the streets, the easiest way to do that is to stop people from going to the streets. You can take sick days off of work sometimes, but you don't want your children missing school. And also, if you,
I think a lot of people are like. The COVID really exasperated the idea of like homeschooling, and people just don't want to do it.
Yeah,
even if it protects you from ICE, I think like if people I think people would stay home, but then the problem just then becomes school isn't school anymore, and then people don't pay attention to it anymore.
Yes, I mean, we saw educational issues come up following COVID, generally. Especially, I think I've seen the Charlotte-Mecklenburg statistics. They are not good. The right-wingers, we don't say this to right-wingers, but they are a little right in that, like, the children can't read anymore. But they're like, it's because of the trans people. It's like, no, it's because, like, you've shut down a COVID pandemic, and it's still infesting all of us. So, yeah, there was some, like, a lot of the through line with when you're going to do institutional things is it's things that will defang and slow down the gears of the fascist institution and their complicity in it. Don't work with the cops. Don't facilitate the cops. The cops are working with ICE. The cops are ICE. Try and use the legal system to just slow down this process, right? Because it's a blitz. So anything you can do to slow down the effect is one of the major ways you engage with institutions. You don't expect them to save you, because they're the ones fucking you over, but you can try and fight how quickly they can move. And then what you do expect to save you, and this is the through line as well, is non-institutional work, right? You build better systems and better contexts to actually resist and protect the people that are resisting in the ways institutions don't want you to. And we saw a lot of this from Charlotte, right? From, I think, what everyone showed, which was people going to kidnapping locations and blowing whistles, right? Getting, like, physically being in presence, which we see in Palestine as well with the Jewish presence. What is that, like? Protective presence. Protective presence.
Yeah. This like community effort to like just be there, and like my friend de-arrested someone yesterday.
Crazy.
Like from the IOF, she fucking bull. I don't know what the phrase is, but like she charged like a bull right towards the person and like got her free, and I was like, okay.
Well, hell yes. Like,
what a badass.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, like the more I guess the more like distinct and like high level the injustices and distinctions become, the more power like a random good privileged person has. And that's very true in the South. It's like cops will not, well, they might. I'm not suggesting this, but a cop shooting me is going to be very differently received especially in the South compared to like, a young black man. It'll be fundamentally different.
That's the thing too. Is I think I don't think there's enough focus in the States about de-arresting. I think people need to recognize that it is fully possible to de-arrest someone that the cops have decided to like handcuff or like try to arrest if the community actually comes out in full force and like puts their bodies quite literally on the line.
Yeah. We saw a little bit of that in Chicago. We saw we saw the one guy run away, and then the whole crowd. Do you see this? The one like
No.
Oh, it's a good clip where he was handcuffed, like properly handcuffed, and then one of the ICE people just turned around, and then he was like, and just ran, and then yeah, and the whole entire crowd just like filled in his gap. Right, and he just kept going.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And ICE tried to come after him because they were clearly just mass arresting people, and it's like, well, like this is what happens when you're untrained and try and mass arrest people. So yeah, we very much saw that, and we saw organizations that were organizing like ICE Watch patrols, right, like presence. And then like bigger mutual aid organizations. Like we didn't see the infrastructure of mutual aid kind of comes about slowly and is developed prior to high level mobilization events. But the ones that we did see were things like patrols in front of school buses, where they were sitting in front of school stops so that the parents that came would not have to worry about their children like being kidnapped on the way home, or they could watch, because it was a common intervention zone, was they were stealing parents off the streets when they came out to pick up their children. And all of this type of work relies on mutual aid networks, right? To provide and distribute whistles. The same people that were doing things like Food Not Bombs, where they were distributing food, can translate those networks into distributing whistles. And then if this develops more, when you talk about like de-arresting, inevitably that will lead to activists being arrested or attacked by the state. And for that, you need like actual effective mutual aid networks where like if they are trying to not be arrested by the state, there need to be places they can live, people that will feed them, et cetera, et cetera. And all of that builds up in these times of high mobilization, which is exactly what we saw.
Oh, sorry, my dog's
crazy. My dog's an evil little bastard as well. He,
yeah.
I love your sugar gliders, by the way. They're delightful. I'm always joyous when I see them.
They're amazing. I love them.
Yeah,
they're a little chaotic, but you know.
That makes sense. I never trust that something that small will have much of a personality, but I think it's always surprising.
They have massive personalities. Merlin is a doofus, and he just jumps everywhere. And Morgana she's really calm and sweet, but she's a little bit of a bitch too. She'll yell at you if you wake her up.
That's so cute. I'm just used to having like two traumatized dogs. Like both of them are rescues. Like, and one is like, he had food aggression and then kind of grew out of it. And then one was just like the teeniest little meanest Maltese you've ever met, who had like 2 teeth, and he just hated me. And I would walk into a room, and then I would walk into a room, and he would come into the room, look at me, growl, and then turn around and leave. I was like, fuck you, Leroy. That's
amazing.
Rude. That's just rude. Anyway.
I love it.
Okay. We're going to get through this, guys. We're going to be so good. Okay. So, specifically, organizations like Siembra, North Carolina, on the charity side, and then the mutual aid side of like People's Defense Charlotte, like built up like big networks of volunteers that would go in. And then, at some point, People's Defense specifically believe in like armed intervention. And so there's varying levels to this. And all of these networks, the reason I mainly include this is like, they're going to invade the South more. Like my bet is they're going to go to Atlanta next. Because they're all over North Carolina. There's no major city in North Carolina they haven't been spotted in. They went to Boone, Asheville, Raleigh, Wilmington. Ridiculous. We were like,
I wonder when they're going to start hitting up the Pacific Northwest. I mean, they've already done Portland, but I wonder when they're going to start hitting Seattle, especially because we got a new progressive mayor. So,
yeah, that's something we don't have to worry about as much in the great old South. He's not going to hate us because we're not Republicans. Although Charlotte does have a Democratic mayor, they're just useless. And didn't do shit.
So
where are you?
So why would he? Might be a stupid question. Why send ICE into those places?
Yeah.
Then?
So. Yeah. So why send ICE into those places? Because what is ICE for? Brutalizing brown people. Where are all the brown people? The South. So that's kind of like the first my
That was
first
probably a
immediate
stupid
answer.
question. Okay.
No, it's a fair question because this is kind of what this whole article is about. Is like, what did they think they were doing, and
Yeah.
are they stupid or are they brave? And like, because if you go into the place with the highest gun ownership, right, you're either dumb or have a plan. And I think it's a mix of both. I think Stephen Miller has a plan. I think Stephen Miller's the modern day Himmler of our time. He wants an SS, and he's fine if some of that SS gets shot, because that's the weak ones, and then he'll be left with the really strong, devoted ones. If I'm high-level conspiracy thinking here, I really hate Stephen Miller. He's also the Himmler, by the way, because Himmler had such wacky, like wild ideas that he couldn't be the Führer. And so that's why he was accepted so high up into Nazi society, is kind of at least one way to look at it. And Stephen Miller equally cannot be high up in white supremacist society because he's Jewish. And so at some point, the white supremacists will be what they are, which is anti-Semitic, and be like, no, we're not. Why would we follow a Jewish man? You'll lose all the anti-Semites. So he's a perfect directly under Führer because he doesn't ever threaten their power because he can't be the guy. That goes into a long history of like neo-Nazis all want to be Hitler, but you can't all be Hitler, so they keep killing each other. It's like George Jonathan Rockwell got killed by another Nazi. I can't advocate anything. I can just tell people what history is. Okay.
It's so funny. It's just the way that we like know our history so well, and we can see it playing out in front of our eyes, and yet we're like we do nothing. Humanity is doomed because we do not understand how to actually like learn or like act differently. Like we literally are seeing the same shit happen over and over and over to the point where you're following the literally the same playbook. What do you mean that we aren't doing anything different if we actually know what this playbook is? I mean, we know how to fight it. It's absurd to me.
It's actually insane. It's like actually it boggles the mind. But are we just nerds? Like, are you and I just nerds and actually know history, and then everyone else is just kind of going around their life? I don't know. This is what
everybody's just like do.
You know, it's like, well, I find it interesting. Other people don't spend their life listening to podcasts and video essays about Nazis. And it's not good for my life, but it's what I do. Okay, so while I set out what was helpful, let me note what wasn't, which is Anderson Clayton, the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, right? She's kind of the youngest chair of any Democratic Party in any state, right? She has what strikes me as a questionable Southern accent. She is unequivocally Southern. I don't want to doubt that, but come on. How many y'alls does a person need? And so she came on and she talked about, she was celebrating the resistance we saw from Charlotte. She was celebrating the mutual aid and direct action of those fighting. And those things are worth celebrating, obviously. And the South is particularly situated to undermine these regimes. But fuck you, Anderson. This is your ICE too. Where was Jeff Jackson? Where was Josh Stein? Where were these motherfuckers? Right? Like, ICE funding has increased under Democrats for the past 20 years. Democrats voted for the Patriot Act, which founded ICE. Obama deported more people than Trump did under his first administration. And by the libs are like, well, he did it legally. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. And also, he didn't. He didn't. Expedited removal, the way he did it, is not constitutional. But it also doesn't fucking matter. If we have a fascistic regime in law or not, I don't care. The state apparatus in North Carolina didn't do anything. The Democratic mayor said he would welcome ICE if they targeted criminals. But if they were lawless, as they obviously would be, he said he would offer his concern. Oh, thank you for your concern. Oh, that's so good. That's going to save so many people. Yeah, so Jeff Jackson did nothing. Alma Adams, nothing. CMPD, which answers to a Democratic mayor, collaborated with ICE and then claimed they weren't. But they did clear out rioters who were defending their neighbors. And the sheriff, McFadden, who just lends his last name to puns, which I can't say online. But good puns, McFadden, openly said he was collaborating with ICE. So if you're going to celebrate the resistance, be a fucking part of it or shut the fuck up. And that's my rant about the Democratic Party in North Carolina. What little losers.
They are, but I mean, like they're brainwashed by celebrity. Like it's not even like good politics or like not even like good propaganda. It's like it's just celebrity. They're brainwashed by celebrity.
Literally, literally. And I think the thing I come to the conclusion here is the seeds of fascism that were laid by the Democrats and old Republicans are different than what Trump is doing, but they're equally nasty, right? And they equally need to be undone. And Democrats will just remind you that the system they set up, which is causing all of this evil, well, it's not quite exactly the same conclusion that we're seeing under Trump. But my frustration with the Democrats, I talk to some people about this a lot, which is I think when I'm not actually that concerned, frankly, with the Democrats, because what is the function of Anderson Clayton doing that, being useless and then claiming all the energy? It's counterinsurgency, right? It's so that people go vote for her instead of go out and defend their neighbors from ICE, right? If you think the Democrats are going to do anything, you go out and fundraise rather than go out and, fundraise in a way the Black Panthers did. Which, by the way, do you know how the Black Panthers funded their first guns? I love this story.
No, tell me.
It's so good. They bought en masse copies of Mao's Little Red Book and then sold it to San Diego students. Yeah. They were the original profiting off of the performative white man. It was so good. And they literally turned it into guns for their neighborhood. So good.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah. They also, so that's how they funded their community defense, but how they funded their survival programs, like free breakfast, sickle cell testing, etc., is they got donations from local businesses, and then the Black and brown community in local business in the locale, if they didn't donate to the Black Panthers, often came under pressure campaigns like boycotts and whatnot, because they weren't supporting their community. By the way, guys, just saying, not a bad idea.
Boycotts work.
Boycotts work. Petty bourgeoisie est still bourgeoisie. So yeah, but the thing, what gives me hope is if that's Anderson Clayton's goal, right? And that's Mamdani's goal as well. He's going to do some good shit, whatever. But ultimately, it's to take all these people that are disenfranchised from the system and bring a few of them in so that a lot of them can feel like they're being included. And then they'll just quiet down and calm down, right? That's like the social democrat. It's like appeasement, right? It's the same thing they did with the Civil Rights Act. All these, angry people, how do we make them talk? We give them the least so they calm down. It's like morphine. But the thing about the South, right, is they're not ever going to be able to give enough morphine. They're actually not going to give us anything because we know they won't, because they never have. They actually are stripping more and more and more away of this social safety net that would stop actual revolutionary change. So while Mamdani, it may in the North and in other places, Mamdani-esque people might be able to give enough, social democracy and national socialism, as I kindly call it, to people for them to calm down. The very last group that national socialism is going to be extended to is the jailhouse of states, which is the South, right? And so they're going to continue being actively deprived. So this out for fascism, right? The response to fascism is either a leftist revolutionary force, right? Or social democracy, right? That's what FDR was. Or it's fascism continues, which is arguably also what FDR was. And so we're not going to see social democracy. So that means the South is going to be really bad to live in because the repression is going to be insane and not face any calming or morphine. But it also means the only effective resistance that we're going to see in the South is going to be revolutionary, leftist revolutionary efficacy, because they're not going to be calm us down by giving us, a few free childcare bits.
Because they have to fight harder to get what they need, essentially.
Yeah, it's like they are so repressive and attack for how you win people over in New York, how you win disenfranchised white people that are seeing their neighbors starve over in New York is you feed 10 of their neighbors. And they're like, well, I want to be privileged anyway. My life will go on fine. And they're like, so I trust that you're good, right? That works. We know it works, right? But in the South, right, it's mostly those neighbors that are starving. And so it's you can starve 10 of them, 90 of them are still starving, and they have no interest in calming the South, right? Because of the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just will get worse and worse. So the natural conclusion here is that grassroots and community organizing will be higher, right? And the necessary. Wait, I have a good line here, and I don't have it up. Okay, yeah, fascism clearly has a target on those living in the South, with it being where the majority of Black and Brown people are. So that's like where they want to. That's where they want to ethnically cleanse, because fascism is ultimately built out of this like very white fear of like a Haitian revolution, right? They don't want the settler America to be undone. And if anywhere a Haitian revolution is going to happen, it's fucking like Louisiana, right? Like where it is majority Black and Brown, and it is like extremely repressed. And so if they don't take all this anger of extreme repression, the violence that is enacted will be greater, and the counterinsurgency will be less, right? The Democrats who are counterinsurgent will be less. And the necessary conclusion there is the grassroots and community defense organizing, the thing we urge New Yorkers to do, but they're ignoring us, will be higher. And that's exactly the conclusion that is supported by this illegal invasion, right? The Dems didn't show up, not really, to say you should vote for us more, right? And this would never happen. They really didn't. Anderson Clayton tried, but no one's listening to her, right? And if insofar as they did, no one really believed them, right? In the same way, like Pritzker in Chicago is saying, well, the Democrats would be nicer. Some people believe him. If you go watch Chicago, some people are like, where are you, Pritzker? Please, like, come save us, right? The cries of nonviolence from libs, which also we saw from the PSL rally on the sideline, did not stop people from defending themselves. And actually, the nation celebrated when people did defend themselves. So this kind of like annoying liberalism that like quiets down and calms revolutions, or like, bat down the people that were just smiling when a fascist died, that doesn't work as well. And we saw that it doesn't work as well. The like epistemic violence they commit against us by being like, well, you're just as bad as the terrorists when you like don't like the terrorists, that no one's believing them anymore. Although it works, once again, in New York, as I've said, we just saw Mamdani, right, talk to Trump, which you made a video about, which I also didn't watch in full. It was good.
I don't even remember what it was about, TBH.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I have a hard time with this because I think about this so long and much that like there are 10 trillion ways to address it. But the South is so far away from the profits of the empire that we're not ever going to get it. And we are the biggest threat to the empire because of that. If they can't shut us up by paying us off, and they can't shut us up by shaming us with the Democrats or distracting us with the Democrats, we're going to be an effective center of resistance. And the most
the South showing people that you can fight back with your guns. Mm-hmm. It's literally in the Constitution. You have every right and duty to fight back with your arms that you are granted by the Constitution.
Yeah. And the other thing I think that doesn't work as well in the South is this idea that, well, if you attack them, they'll just be worse to you. I think if this idea where it's like, well, the first ICE agent that gets shot is going to spark a revolution of the right wingers, right? Which is nonsense because they're already killing all of us, like they're already. But that's really felt in the South. It's like, well, I mean, they already shot my friend. Like, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to shoot everyone. The only option you have is to defend yourself. So it's that type of like counterinsurgent thinking that I think is uncompelling generally. But it might be compelling in New York where like, and people, NYPD is extraordinarily violent, but there is an extent to which like reprisal is a thing. Whereas like I think Trump is doing as much violence as he conceivably can and wants to. The only thing stopping him is not that he needs an excuse. It's that there are people defending against it. That's how I always view it. Is like I hear from libs, well, I think shooting Charlie Kirk is bad because actually that'll just make them angrier. It's like, how angry do they have to be? They have $109 billion. They'll start missiling us. It's okay. So that's the take I took on it. So always the most dangerous is if we don't do that and instead push our energy behind people like Anderson Clayton that aren't contributing in any way to this resistance or helping this resistance at all. So I put it here, which is the violence of Trump's fascism is a given, whether we meet it with genuinely democratic, decentralized, and independent resistance or feedback into the very system that built into it is not. And I urge my fellow Southerners to do the same, right? Do the former rather than the latter. right? Build independent, decentralized democratic resistance rather than the Democrats and the system that built the Democrats. And this goes, by the way, for any electoral party. You have your place, just as Carolina Migrant Network does, but it's never going to be the thing pushing the resistance and the efficacy. Yeah. Thoughts, ideas, and then I have a cute little conclusion.
No, I think you're spot on. It's so funny because the idea of like revolution, right, or fighting back, or like fighting against these systems. People talk about it in like these like dreamlike scenarios, or like these foreign, like these ideals that are off in the sky that they like to think about, but they don't really understand what it actually means. The fact that like we're actually heading towards a revolution where like people are recognizing that they have power, and like we have the ability to like enact some great change. And so it's just like it's really interesting to see the way that people respond to these ice raids, and the way that they take it into their own hands to like stop back. 'Cause that's literally what the revolution is like. You have to fight back physically, and you have to actually recognize that you have the power to demand that they stop doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like the reason empire is so brutal and direct, right, is because it has to be, because it's very fragile. And being able to engage in the same behavior of empire, which is self-defense and like physicality, right, and winning, any win you have on that, even if it's low and it's harmful and it's bloody and it's nasty, is revolutionary, because the empire needs total control. Otherwise it falls, right? And for a long time, the South has been that very, like, within the America proper, right, outside of the periphery of the American empire, which is like Palestine and Libya and Iraq, etc. Outside of that, the South has been a site of great oppression and resistance in a similar way as the periphery, because it has always been the internal workings of the internal oppressed group of the like white American settler colony. And if you take that really seriously, what that means is you're going to see similar efficacy of resistance and similar strategies. Like, yeah, Vietnam was able to beat the American empire, right? That is an amazing thing that they were able to do, right? We are seeing Palestinian resistance effectively ward off what is effectively an extension of the American empire. That is incredible. We will be able to see internally similar things happen if effective counter systems are built. Yeah. And they don't, convince us that it's not possible, or shut us down, or do a series of counterinsurgent things. And that's why I have hope, right, is they're not going to be able to do that. And we've seen that they're not able to do it because people are showing up. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Charlotte showed up and showed out. They're not here to play. And they have a long history of doing it, and people need to learn their fucking history, as I think we both agree on. And they need to not contribute to the dismissal and victim blaming of the South. Like, every time you hear someone going like, the South, they voted for this, be like, no, like the millions of black and brown people are the victims of them voting for this, you dumb fucks. But learn of the long and brutal histories of state repression in America. The chauvinism of fascists, right, that buy into this victim blaming and ideology of underestimating and dismissing the revolutionary spirit in the South, could be their fatal flaw. And the lessons we learn from that, from the South and from their revolutionary spirit, even outside of it, is their secret weapon. Or is our secret weapon. I'm extremely proud of how the communities I grew up around responded this week, while deeply aware that deep harm and damage was caused, and much was done wrong or ineffectively or counterproductively. And in all cases, I hope we learn the right lessons, and they learn absolutely fucking nothing. Keep it coming. Keep sending carpetbaggers down from New York and shitholes up in the north, and see how the South responds to it. Do it. Do Operation Charlotte's Web. Did you know that it was called Charlotte's Web, by the way? What little dumb fuck. Oh my god. They're just little losers. Operation Charlotte's Web. Although it is weirdly accurate. It is a story about a pig. So they're on that one. Although it's about saving a pig, not a pig fucking us over.
God. The names of these operations are just always so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you can tell that these were named by people that think they're so strong, and so be like, oh, let's name it something really cool.
I agree. I want to see. I've been debating suggesting some to them because I fear that they will use it. Like if they invade New York, I do want it to be called Operation Concrete Jungle because that's objectively a cooler name than Operation. Like Operation Concrete Jungle's a great name, but I just don't want to give it to them. You know, like there are really fun ones. Charlotte's Web. It's like, oh, we're going into Charlotte. You could do Operation Hornet's Nest. It's right there. Like what the fuck? Because we're the Hornets, even though this is a shitty basketball team as well, and I also don't know sports. But it's right there. Or Operation Cardinal. It's right there. Anyway, that's the tea. That's what's gone on in Charlotte. Any remarks? Any closing remarks? Any ideas? Any thoughts?
Fuck fascists.
They might have split it. Yeah.
It's
I'm gonna get canceled one day, but that day, there are some things that'll happen before I get canceled, and it'll be a lot of fun. But
my god,
yeah, fuck fascists. Although fucking fascists, it's only revolutionary if you're topping. So everyone think about that.
I'm fucked.
Pun mediumly intended.
Ridiculous.
Well, everyone, joy is resistance only if you're talking about gay sex, and that's okay. Do you have some things to plug, to point to? You're writing a book. You have a podcast coming out. Excited.
Yeah, I'm starting a new I'm starting a new Substack and podcast called Ancestral Currents. It's literally focused on, exploring these ideas of, what does it mean to like really connect to your roots, connect to your heritage. And I'm really excited about it because it started with I wanted to write about my own like Palestinian connection, but then I was like, no, but like I want to hear about other people's stories. I want to hear about other people's heritages and cultures. And so it's an open form. I was working on the website just before this, actually. So if you're ever interested in writing about your heritage or culture, or you want to like talk about it on a podcast, DM me, send me a DM, and you can be featured on Ancestral Currents.
Slay.
That's what I'll plug. Yeah.
And people listening to this are already on my Substack. And if you're not, how? I don't know how you access this. It's off Spotify, so yeah, get fucked. And y'all should read it because it's basically this podcast with less banter and my script, less banter, more spelling errors. Which you do with that what you'd like. Live, laugh, love, dyslexia, yapness. I don't know. Anyway, all right. Everyone have a good day. I'm going to stop the recording.
Bye.